Hi there, I'm Dan Jones, and this is Travels with Daniel. Hope you're doing well today. Uh, Somebody had written on one of my videos, "You're an abuser too." I'm not. I'm not chuffed about it. I know who did it. It was a friend of one of the friends of my soon-to-be ex-wife, telling the story that I'm an abuser to her is one of the things that she has to do so that she can take no responsibility for any of the issues that we'd had in our marriage. It absolves her of any responsibility, and I know that. Unfortunately, the people in her life don't know that. But the other reason that she does it is to try and hurt me. And that's what I want to talk about today. The fears that we as abused victims have. Shortly after my abuse, probably within a year, I'd come across the adage, abusers grow up to abuse. It sounded official. And it scared me. I mean, it really, really scared me. I felt I now had no choice. I was going to grow up and I was going to do to young people exactly what my abuser had done to me. And it affected, just so much of how I viewed myself. I spent years worried that I was going to grow up and abuse kids. I didn't want kids. I didn't want my siblings to have kids. I didn't want to be around them if they did have kids. I was convinced that because of what had happened to me, I was irretrievably broken. And when I was 18, I met this really wonderful woman, and it moved to the point that we talked about marriage and we even talked about kids. And I told her point blank, I don't want to have children because I'm going to grow up. I'm already grown up at 18, but I'll abuse them because I was abused. And she just looked at me and she said, "No, you won't. That's not you. You wouldn't do that. Just because it was done to you doesn't mean that you'll do it to somebody else." That went a long way towards me trying to learn more about the perpetuation of abuse from abuser to, from being abused to becoming an abuser. Her telling me that gave me the confidence to learn more and to realize that it doesn't mean that I'm going to be an abuser. And as a matter of fact, I had done everything in my power to be good, to go to the entire opposite spectrum. Now, trying to be good has always been in my nature, but I mean, there I really went overboard because it was a fear. It was a humongous fear that this is what I was destined to be. And her holding up a mirror and showing me that it wasn't who I was destined to be was a gift. When I met my wife and we went on our first date, I told her everything. Everything on our first date. I told her I'd been sexually abused. I told her that I'd been arrested. I told her I was a heavy drinker. I told her about my promiscuity. She had an 11-year-old child. It just didn't seem right to me for her or the child to get invested in me And then I bring this stuff out 2, 3, 5 months down the road, and either one of them go, nope, that's a bridge too far. No, we don't want to be involved in that. So I was completely honest on our first date. And after we had gotten married, and we would talk about different things in our life, I had told her once how when I was younger, I had always been afraid that I would grow up to abuse. This became the mantra that she would use against me whenever things went off the rail. She would tell me that I had this potential for abuse that I knew I didn't have. It was meant to hurt me. It was meant to take my fear and turn it back on myself to get me to do what she wanted. I told my wife I wanted a divorce almost 6 months ago. She begged me to give her a chance to try and fix things, and I didn't want to. I'd felt that things had gone too far at that point. But we'd been married 20 years. We have 2 children. So I tried to give her a little bit of space. Tried to give her the opportunity to show, that we could work it out. But then something happened, and I finally realized it's not going to work out. And I told her, I said, this is my final day of even trying anymore. And that night she got angry and she attacked me. That's working its way through the system right now. But still I stayed. I stayed in the house hoping that we could get a divorce and it could be amicable. And then about 10 days later, I was on the phone with the mother of one of my mentees, and I was talking with her. And because of the phone that I was using at that time, and because of my hearing loss from when I was in the service, I had a really, really hard time hearing that phone if I held it up to my ear. So I had it on speakerphone while I was on the back porch. And my wife hears me talking to a woman, and so she's convinced I'm, talking to whoever it is I'm leaving her for, and so she comes out on the porch to sit there and listen in on the conversation. Fine, listen in. It's not a big deal to me. I'm talking to this mother about the issues that her son has and trying to ascertain how I can help. And after about 5 minutes, my wife realizes that it's not some woman that I'm having an affair with, and it's the mother of a mentee, and so she gets up to leave. But as she starts to walk away, she says loudly enough so that the mother can hear on the phone, "Have you told her that you're going to abuse her son the way that you were abused?" And then she just walks away. That's the night I left. That was the final straw for me. Because I realized that the hurt and fear that I'd had and that I had shared with my wife, she was willing to use as a weapon against me. And nothing would be off limits. So what's the point of this story? It's illustrative. It's not to gripe about my life. There are things that have happened to us when we were abused and thoughts that have occurred to us that have shaped and changed the way we view ourselves. It's done it so much that it becomes a part of our persona. But we cannot be afraid to speak about those things, to come to the people that we care for and are important in our life and tell them, this is a real, honest fear that I have. Because if we won't admit the fear that we have, then we can't ascertain whether or not it's real. It'll always be real to us when it's just us talking to ourselves. But I was lucky. I brought it to somebody who could see the real me. And she held up that mirror and allowed me to see who I really was in that respect. Yes, I shared it also with my wife because she was important to me, because she was a part of my life. She used it as a weapon. That speaks more of her than it does of me. But I spoke that fear, and I faced it. And I encourage you that if you have fears that have been instilled in you because of your abuse, whether it be something your abuser told you or something that you overheard, like had happened with me, or something you read, or just something that occurred to you and suddenly it becomes a fear, speak that fear. Don't let it hide in the shadows. Because once you speak it, it no longer holds the power over you that it does in silence. Thank you. Have a good day, and God bless you.